When is the perfect time to sleep with a guy? Some people say 60 days, some people say 90 days. But what if you see a guy every single day for 60 days? Did you wait too long? What if you only see him twice in 90 days? Is that still okay? See, all of these different variations can essentially guarantee that you mess it up. But if you just knew exactly what events to look for, then we could create a strategy for you that would guarantee you don't mess it up. If you want to learn what that strategy is, then join me on today's show where we'll be discussing the complete sex timeline so that men fall in love with you. That way, you know exactly what to give or not give to ensure that you end up only sleeping with the perfect man for you. Why do you need a full background on the X? And why are we doing this right away so fast before we ever do anything else? Because this is one of the most important parts of understanding if you're even dating someone that is available emotionally and spiritually, that you can even successfully have a serious long-term relationship with this man. So what are we talking about when it comes to the background on the X? What information are you actually gathering? One, you're gathering the full story of exactly what transpired, how it transpired, and where they stand now. You need to know what this X is in their life, what they were in their life, and how it all exists now. Is it all tidied and wrapped up and neat and put away and he's moved forward? Or is there some sort of ongoing situation where they're in a friend group, or she works at the same job as him, or they have to be around each other because of some family situation, that's his baby mother, whatever the case may be, you need to have this information, this coming from him. The next event, super important, right? The life story. What has he been through from childhood to, being a teenager to now? And building this life story is part of your understanding of who he really is. Now, you're going to confirm this life story later on. Don't worry, we have lots of time together. But we want to get this first little bit of who he is from him to see if you can corroborate that story later on, okay? You need to have an understanding, what is his current career path? Like, what is he doing now in his career as it currently stands? And where does he want to go in the future? Now, we're going to get to that in a little bit of a separate point, but this in terms of career is something you want to have a clear, crystal clear understanding of. These first 2 months are going to be jam-packed with information, okay, right? So this, in a more broad sense, you need to know. What are his desires for his own life? For example, you might meet a guy and he might tell you, oh, I really want to live in Miami. I want to raise my children in Miami. I want to live in a penthouse. I want to be able to have access to the city. I want to live in a warm weather climate. And you're thinking to yourself, I've always wanted to live in the country somewhere. I've always wanted to live on a nice big farm, okay? These are the type of things you have to get an understanding of. Because when it comes to actually the logistics of a relationship, you might make the mistake of sleeping with a guy and then afterwards realizing that he wants something for his own life that's completely different than what you want for your life, in which case you've just wasted a body. So what's the point here? So getting an understanding of this early is very important. Not just life goals of, oh, do you want to be working a better job in 5 years? Cool. Yeah, some guys will tell you that and that's fine. But also, what are his life goals for himself? Where does he envision himself living? How does he envision himself living in that place, right? Does he want to live in a mansion? Does he want to live on a farm? Does he want to live in an apartment, right? All of these things might seem unimportant to you at the beginning because you're thinking just about, I just want to have fun here. But these are the logistical parts of a relationship that will guarantee you will waste away a body if you don't get an understanding or go through these events first before we ever get to the other stuff, or the fun stuff as you might like to think about it. So in this scenario where we're talking about what's allowed, I'm trying to get you to a place where you can be sure, okay, at this point, these can be the things that I am willing to do, but these are my limits. And have a clear understanding that, okay, if I stick to this plan and this strategy, I'll guarantee myself success regardless of the outcome. When I say regardless of the outcome, what I mean is regardless of whether we end up in a relationship or he ends up not being the guy that I'm thinking that I actually need in my life, or ends up being a serious guy, I still win. Okay, that's what I'm trying to set up for you. All right. So allowed. obviously, we're adults here, so I'm not even gonna mess around here. You're allowed to kiss him within this first few months, all right? Okay, we're gonna be very specific throughout this show, so there is no confusion at all. So when I say something, don't assume it's this with addition to something else. Don't worry, when I add additions, I will tell you that. So when I say kiss him, I didn't say tongue kiss him. I didn't say make out with him, that's gonna come later. I didn't say anything else but kiss him on the lips, that's it. I know some of you are like, Tomisin, this is so childish. This is, this is such basic stuff. Are you really telling me within the first 2 months I can't? Yes, we have a strategy here. We're trying to simplify it for you so you can't make any mistakes here. And we want you to come out successful regardless of the outcome. Kiss is allowed, right? You're gonna feel like a child when I say this. You can hug him also. You guys can have a nice warm hug. You can feel on his body. You can press your yitties against him, however you guys want to do it. You're clothed though, you're in public though, and this is not going on in any sort of way where people can't see you. No sex in any way, shape, or form. I told you I'm gonna get detailed. So if I mean no sex, but you can do blah, 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 I would say that. When I say no sex, let me be very specific. I mean no sex, no oral sex, no butt stuff, no fingers, no groping, no touching over the clothes, no nothing, okay? I also put the caveat, there are no house calls and no privacy. So what does that mean? I do not even want you at this point in a place where this can possibly happen. Because obviously, unless he has some weird, public fantasy, he's less likely to be very bold with you when you guys are in public. So let's just avoid that totally by not even putting either of you in a private place. Someone said no edging in any form, right? I'm also gonna kind of help you with a little bit of a trap here that you can fall into on these first couple months. Okay, because you might think to yourself, okay, no privacy, that's fine, I won't go to his house. But you're not thinking about a couple of other things. No in the car, right? This is another easy setup. I'm just telling you this as a man because I know all the tricks, because I've used all the tricks. Don't allow yourself these first couple of months to be in the car alone with him. Okay, someone even asked that. Because this is another version of privacy that can allow things to escalate very easily. And if you're not prepared or anticipating how things can escalate, you can make a lot of mistakes this way. No house calls, obviously. Now, the other trap that is easy to fall into that we haven't even discussed on the show a lot is the movies. And the reason I say that is because I'm a guy, so I know the tricks. I've used the tricks. So I'm telling you, the movies is another place where you can trick yourself into thinking, oh, we're going to the movies, so no, if people are around, nothing would happen in the movies. It's a public setting. We're not at his house. But the problem is you can make the movies a private thing. It's dark, and depending on what movie you go to and how long it's been out, if it's a horrible movie and it's been out a while, you guys could literally be the only people in the theater. At point number 2, we have 2 to 3 months. Now, we're getting into make or break territory because around this 2 or 3 month mark is when things can start to fall apart for the men and the persona that they've been showing you all this time. See, the first 1 to 2 months, if we're thinking about the dating stage as it relates to leading up to being his girlfriend, is considered like the smaller version of a honeymoon phase, because that's the time where he can literally present himself to be anybody. And there's no way for you to corroborate anything that he's been telling you this entire time. He can literally come to you and tell you, yeah, I'm actually the next in line for the heir of the English throne. I don't know if you know, I'm actually Prince Harry's second cousin twice removed. And, if a couple things happen and a couple people get sick, I'm up next, right? They can present any story that they want to you. And at that point, all you can do on this first 2 months, right, in our point number 1 there in the timeline, all you can do is accept that to be the truth. But you're not going to accept it as in you're not going to ask any more questions. You're going to accept it as in I need to gather more information and corroborate this story with other people before I can actually confirm that this is the truth, okay? So what do I mean by that? When you meet the close friends, you're not just meeting them willy-nilly, oh, you introduced me to your close friends, da-da-da-da-da. No, this is the time where you say, okay, now that I'm having the opportunity to talk to these close friends, I still need to be gathering information. So how do I gather information from these close friends? I have conversation with them. Now, understand something. These men that you're going to be meeting of his are prepared to give you the cookie cutter answers. You know how guys come into a date with you and they have the cookie cutter answer prepared that, oh, what are you looking for? And they always say, I'm looking for something serious, but magically they never are. His friends also have the cookie cutter answers of, oh, he talks about you so much. Oh, yeah, he's been waiting to date someone for so long. Oh, yeah, he really wants to get married and blah, 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 blah. Don't listen to that stuff, okay? What I want you to do instead is I want you to have conversations with these close friends about their own life and how they go about their life, right? And the things that they do, and if they're in a relationship or not, or how their relationships have gone well or gone poorly, because this will tell you a lot about him. When you meet these guys and you meet multiple of them, you're going to start to notice a theme, especially if they're all very alike and similar. I can guarantee you, if you meet his close guy friends and they're all cheaters who have a thing going on and another thing going on with this girl, and they like to go out and have fun and do whatever, however they want to do it, I can guarantee you he's more than likely doing the same thing. Now, everything is so important, right? Because everything that you ask at the very beginning in those first 1 to 2 months, everything is going to come to fruition later on. So please remember, okay, I should have even mentioned this in the first point. When you're gathering this information, don't just let it come in one ear and out the other ear. Actually put it in your memory of, okay, this is what he said about this, so that you can't be gaslit later on. Even if, and I'm not even, you're not a bad person if you have to do this. Even if you have to go out on that date, and after you finish asking him all of those questions, you go home and you write the information down. Even if you have to do that, no one has to know that you're writing it down. But if you're serious about getting this right, and you need to write it down so you can remember and not be gaslit later on that he told you something different, go ahead and write it down after the date. That way you can bank this information and understand what he told you versus what you're observing. So what do I mean by confirming the ex story? Remember how I told you to ask about the ex, ask where things stand now, ask, what's going on with the situation and why did it end and all of that long story that he's going to tell you multiple times in multiple different ways. Now you're going about confirming if this is true or not. So how do you actually confirm? Are you going to go through his phone? Are you going to go through his Instagram? Are you going to check his Finsta? No. What you're going to do is you're going to sit back and allow things to play out. See, as time goes on, time is one of the best revealers of truth. And you have to be patient and understand that time will reveal to you a lot of things, whether you like it or not. So as long as you're patient and observant, you will always catch the truth one way or another. So in this sense, confirming the ex story is just about sitting back, relaxing, and allowing things to play out. He told you his ex ain't in his life anymore, right? Okay, let's see how true that is. Now, if I start noticing things or you start bringing up things like, oh, my ex called me the other day and she had a flat tire and she needed me to come do it because no one else could fix her tire. Wait a second. That's interesting. You told me when we first met that you and your ex have no contact whatsoever. Quite interesting that the person who you haven't spoken to in so long would call you when they have a flat tire. That doesn't sound like we never speak, we have no contact, we are completely done and moved on. That sounds like there's enough of a relationship there that she feels comfortable calling you. Now, obviously, you're not going to say any of that, but this is some of the things that you observe. You told me she's completely out of your life, but what you're doing now, going and fixing her tire, doesn't sound like someone who's completely out of their life, right? And I told you at the beginning, guys will sell you on any story they want. They could tell you that they're the next Prince of England, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's true. And as it relates to the ex, you have to be confirming this as time goes on, all right? Right? You're going to do what we can call a job confirmation. So he told you what his career path was. Maybe he told you he was a banker. Maybe he told you he was a doctor. Maybe he told you he was a whatever, all right? You're going to be doing a confirmation that he actually does what he says he does. I know for some of you, this sounds very trivial because you're thinking to yourself, why would a man lie about his occupation? That doesn't make any sense. Trust me, I have helped hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of women through private message, Discord message, as you guys have seen, and just through friends and through the grapevine, okay? So I'm telling you this because I know I've heard all of the horror stories. And it can be very easy to assume that what a guy is telling you at the very beginning is true because you just think to yourself, why would someone lie about this? Men, trust me. Me and you were friends. I'll be honest with you. Men lie about a lot of things. Some of them are even very trivial and stupid and pointless. You might even think to yourself, why would someone lie about something that irrelevant? I know this is going to sound weird, but you're going to do a pursuit observation. Remember at the beginning, when I told you in the first 2 months, you're going to be asking him what his life goals are, his career path is, and what his goals are for the future? This is now going to come to the point where, as he told you what he wants for himself, right, and his life and his goals, you're now going to be observing, is he actually taking the necessary steps towards accomplishing those goals? Now, for example, if he says he wants to be a millionaire and he wants to do that by owning a business where he sells books, I don't know, he wants to be the next Amazon, he wants to be the next Jeff Bezos. And when you talk to him every single day, or you ask him what he's doing today or what he's doing with his free time, he's always telling you that he's playing video games. He's playing Fortnite. He's playing Call of Duty. He's playing whatever the F that the kids play nowadays. I don't play video games, so I don't know. And every time you're talking to him or observing what he's doing with his time outside of spending time with you, he's always doing something that doesn't work towards the goals that he said he had for himself. Because it's easy for men to say, I want to be a millionaire. Very, very difficult for men to actually take the steps necessary to become a millionaire. Now, some men will say, I just want an easy life. I just want to get by. I don't want anything too big. That's perfectly fine. But whatever he says he wants for himself, you should be able to observe that he's actually going for that. And he's actually taking the necessary steps forward to do that. Why? Because like we always talk about with direction, you have to confirm that men, when they say they'll do something for themselves, that they actually do it. Because this is going to be a direct mirror to you and in your relationship with him. Because if he can't stick to his own word about what he says he'll do for himself and his own life and his own success, how do you expect him to be able to transfer that and somehow do a 180 when it comes to you in the relationship, telling you he's going to do something for you or with you in the relationship and then actually sticking to his word? If he doesn't build that skill set and that muscle memory for his own life and his own career, there's no way he's going to be able to transfer that into your relationship here. When I say light petting, I'm specifically referring to the type of touching you would see people do in a teen drama when they're making out, okay? So think of a teen drama makeout. I didn't say a corn video makeout. I said a teen drama makeout. That's PG-13, where they're just gonna be kissing each other, maybe touching the face, touching the arms a little bit, the neck. It can still be romantic, but it's not groping, okay? No groping, no heavy petting, which would be touching your yitties, touching your dump truck, touching anything below your waist, all right? Or you touching anything of his below the waist. So at this point, it's okay to have one or two, don't go crazy, house calls. But you're still keeping it in your pants, you're still keeping it cute. One of the traps can be the drinking house call. Now, I'm saying you're allowed to go to his house at this point. You're in 2 to 3 months. But all of us are different people. Something that you have to accept about yourself is the type of person that you are, okay? I'm gonna tell you guys just a little story about me. This is not about me, but I wanna help you understand how you can apply this to yourself. I used to drink a lot, right? I used to drink recreationally for fun to go out and parties. But what I found about myself is I'm an all or nothing type of person. I'm an extreme person. So when I go out and I would drink, I would wanna drink to get drunk. Meaning, I don't have fun if I feel like I'm just drinking to just be a little bit tipsy. Because I want to be in that place where I'm drunk, I have the confidence, I'm able to go out, do whatever, and I can feel like Superman. So that's a very, very specific place to be. And that takes a lot of drinking. And I'm a 6'3" man. So it's going to take a lot for me to drink to be able to get to that point. And I'm always trying to keep it at that level. So what I found would happen is by the time you get close to there, it's very hard to gauge how to keep it perfect. Then I would go overboard and I would wake up the next day with a lot of regrets and feel like, damn, I was cringy. Did I say that? Did I do that? Oh, that was really nasty of me. That was weird of me. I was cringe there. So I just decided I'm going to figure out a way to enjoy myself without any of the bad stuff. So I just cut out drinking altogether. No wine, no alcohol. I've never smoked or anything like that. So that was never an issue for me. And I found my groove to be able to go out, took me a while, I found my groove to be able to go out, enjoy myself, have a good time, but still not have to wake up the next day and feel like, oh, damn, I was cringe there, I was cringe there, I was cringe there. So I say all that because for you, you have to do some self-evaluating here. And you have to accept the type of person you are. For some of you, you have so much self-control and you know how to do this well that you can go out and you can have fun and you can just be just a little bit tipsy and do your thing and not have to worry about being cringe or being, obnoxious. Okay, some of you that might be you, that's fine. For some of you, look in my eyes. Trust me, I know I've been there, right? I was once you. For some of you, when you get drunk, things get ugly. You start to become cringe. You say some cringe things. You do even cringier things. And you wake up the next day with a lot of regret. Whether you sleep with someone who you don't really find that fine, that good looking, or whether it just be you're just a very, very low vibrational or low frequency version of yourself. That's okay. Okay, we've all been through it. A lot of us have been through it. That doesn't make you a bad person. But what you need to do is you need to be self-aware enough to say to yourself, if I want to take my relationships seriously, I have to take this part of my life seriously as well. And if a guy that I'm dating, I really think could actually be the one, and I'm really seeing a lot of good things for him, one of the worst things for you to do in that scenario is to make the mistake of drinking on a house call, especially when you have all of the privacy, and making mistakes that you wake up the next day from and you feel like, damn, I undid all of the good work that I was building on this entire time. That's one of the most devastating feelings because you can't undo all of those things and all of those events. And you also can't just go out and find a different person. So when you find that person that you really like, very important you present yourself the way that you want to present yourself, that you don't end up missing the mark, and then afterwards you're trying to undo everything and things just fall apart. Ovulation can also be a monster that traps you because when you're thinking in your mind of what you plan to do, and then you have those days where you're ovulating, your mind's not in the right place. Okay, it's not your fault. You have hormones and sometimes they're raging. And when your hormones are raging, you're gonna be trying to justify a lot of actions and justify a lot of things. For some of you, that ovulation monster that you have within you, just by a simple cuddle, will take you over the moon. And now we have a lot of problems because now in your mind, you're saying, oh, well, Tomisin and his stupid, silly plans. It's just a stupid, silly show. He's not actually watching me. He's not God. God's not watching. No one's watching me. If I just, maybe I just, feel it just a little bit and I feel over his pants, it's not a problem. Oh, now he's touching me and I feel really good. And it'll go just in a snap of a finger. It'll go. And everything you were working for, similar to drinking, will just go out the window. In our 3 to 4 months, this is a very interesting time, okay? This is a very pivotal time in the relationship because this is where a lot of things will either fall apart or they'll be going so well that they continue going forever. If at any point you find yourself in a position where you say, I haven't yet experienced this event, but I'm on month number 3 now, or I'm on month number 5 now and I still haven't met his friends, I still haven't met his family, then that means you're holding out on what you're allowed to do, okay? I'm not saying that this has to be the time where you sit down and have a dinner with his parents, okay? When I say family meeting, I just mean you need to see, like you need to visually see in real life at least one person who actually has blood relation to him, an immediate family member. In some way, shape, or form. I'm not saying you got to sit down and have 20 million conversations with them. I'm not saying you got to add them on it. You need to see someone that has blood relation to him in his immediate family. Or if he's an orphan, someone that raised him that's close to him, that he would call family. The reason that I say this is because we still need to make sure that we're corroborating stories. And we're corroborating the fact that who he said he is who he actually is. I'm not saying you got to have a sit-down lunch with his sister, all right? I'm not saying that. But we need to make sure that you're able to confirm that, hey, the sister he's been talking about, or the mom he's been talking about, or the brother, or the whatever the case may be, they're actually real. And if they're just, especially when it's just a brother or a sister, it's a lot easier to meet one of them in passing Because at this point, if you've been seeing each other regularly, it's not like, out of the ordinary that this person may be around at some point in some way, shape, or form. And at this point, when we're getting to 3 to 4 months, you want to be able to at least have some sort of conversation or meeting with that person to confirm that they're real. At this point, you want to be thinking about some sort of intro to your family. Same thing applies though. You don't necessarily have to, he has to meet your father and mother and for a sit down dinner. Let me also make the caveat here. This is after you meet someone from his family. Let me also make a caveat that you're not the one trying to get him to introduce you to his family. The reason I'm saying this is because I know some of you are hearing this and thinking to yourself, I'm at this point in my relationship, I need to step this pedal to the metal and force him to introduce me to his family. No, what you're doing here is you're gauging how serious he is about this relationship. If at this point in time, he hasn't discussed in any way, shape, or form, you at least meeting one of his family members, right? Then this is very concerning now, because now we're getting to a point where it seems like he might be trying to isolate you. We're trying to avoid putting you in a nefarious and strange situation, because guys are able to sell you on a dream if they can isolate you and not allow you to be able to corroborate any stories. What does isolation look like? You don't meet any friends, you don't meet any family, and you don't have any way of confirming that what he told you is actually the truth. Because when you meet those people, they'll have their own versions of stories and they'll have their own understanding and knowledge of him. So their understanding and knowledge of him might be drastically different than the truth. So how are you supposed to confirm that if you don't have anyone to corroborate stories with? Family is another great one. Obviously, family is going to come after a while. If you can be intro to one of these people in one way, some shape or form, that will be good. I seen someone say FaceTime. At least if you can confirm that that's actually his sister, that's better than nothing. Just remember, this is the biggest one. If you don't remember anything else for this point, and if you don't remember anything else for anything we talk about, the reason I say this is because it is so easy for men to present themselves a particular way and talk about what they will do for you and in this relationship and make themselves seem super perfect. At the beginning, when you're sitting in front of 2 dinner plates, slurping spaghetti fettuccine, and both of you are having a good time, feeling good, dressed nice, and everything's good. The first big fight is such a pivotal part of the relationship because this is your opportunity to understand, how does he really feel about you? Because when they're okay with you, when they're happy with you, it's easy to filter thoughts and not tell you what they really think. It's easy to present themselves a particular way. When they're really angry and they're really upset, it's a lot harder to filter those thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And a lot of times you'll hear things just blurted out in the heat of the moment that are really and honestly true, but they don't tell you that because in their regular everyday, they're filtering those thoughts out. So it's a great time and a great opportunity for you to hear and see firsthand how he really feels about you, how he's really wanting to treat you, and what he really thinks about you in this relationship. Because what you'll notice is with some men, by the time you have this first big fight, you'll realize that the way he actually treats you when he's upset with you is drastically different than the way he treats you when he is happy with you and things are going well. But the reality of it is, in a relationship, you're going to see both sides of him. You will never experience a relationship in which you only see the happy-go-lucky, caring, forgiving, honest, amazing version of him. You will also see the angry, upset, stressed out version of him throughout your relationship. So if that version of him is so ugly that you can't anticipate or foresee yourself being in a relationship with this guy for the rest of your life, knowing that you're going to experience that over and over and over again, then you've already answered your question if you're wasting your time here. Once you answer this question, hey, he gets upset, he gets angry, but the way he treats me doesn't change. He doesn't go overboard. He doesn't have any strange or weird behavior. He's punching walls, throwing things, breaking things, exhibiting some sort of behavior that I would find a danger to me, right? Once you can confirm that, okay, he has emotions, but they don't go out of hand, even when we have a heated discussion, and he can, compartmentalize and be able to talk to me even while being upset or being emotional, now I can move on with this relationship. Now I can confirm that this is actually a guy I can work with long term. And if you're agreeing all the time on everything, it's not because you actually agree all the time on everything. It's because that man is not actually expressing to you how he really feels about things. I'm gonna say that again, because I know some of you just went through your ears. If you find yourself constantly agreeing with a guy to the point where you never have a single, even minor issue, it's not because you actually don't have issues. It's because that guy is not expressing to you how he really feels about things. So you're under the assumption that everything is going well and there are no issues. But in his mind, things are happening that he doesn't agree with. He just doesn't speak on them. And he's good at hiding it and concealing it. So you think that everything is okay. What are you allowed to do here? Okay, I know some of you are going to be super excited about this, but I'm nervous. Okay, first things first, oral. Now, remember, I told you, when I put something on the board that's allowed, if I don't say anything more than that, then that's all that's allowed. Okay, don't add anything to that. You can put your mouth in places, he can put his mouth in places, however you want to do this. Now, obviously, here's a caveat. Here's a caveat. Here's a caveat. I know for some of you, right, you're religious, okay? So if you're religious and this is not going to work for you in any way, shape, or form, then obviously you're not going to be doing this. I'm discussing for those of you who might be religious, but you break some rules. I know who you are. And some of you who just aren't religious at all. So it's not really affecting your ability to do things or not do things. This is the boundary here, right? At this point, when you can experience these things and all the things previously, now we can get to oral. You can have some fun, being very, very specific so you're not confused. So you can put your hand places. He can put his hand places, however you guys like to do that, right? Any hole. Okay, doesn't matter the hole. You can use your fingers and your mouth on any of the holes. He can do the same for you. Heavy petting as well. What does heavy petting mean? It's like groping, okay? So the type of things you would see in a corn movie or a corn video, right? Making out with all of the touching and all of the feeling, right? Feeling your dump truck, feeling your yitties, feeling all over the place, all right? So all of that stuff there. Now, let me give you the trap. In this one that I put here, I put oral, I put fingers, I put heavy petting, I did not put sex. Going overboard. What does that mean? He goes down on you and he's doing such a good job with his tongue and his mouth and all that sucking and licking. And now all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, this is the best thing I've ever experienced. I think I'm literally dying. And now you're saying to yourself, maybe if it slips in, it's not so bad. And you know what? This is honestly the saddest part of the whole show to me. Because I know, unfortunately, I'm going to lose some of my best soldiers at this point. I've accepted that as a reality, that at this point, I'm going to lose a lot of soldiers. Not because you guys don't want to listen to me, but because I know that at this point, depending on how skilled he is, some of you will be convinced to just go all the way. And you won't be able to have the self-control to be like, no, there's more to come here, all right? I have accepted that as a reality. And I know while we cook up this plan and this strategy for you to help you succeed, some of you are going to, be feeling away in the moment, and I'm going to lose some of you. Some of you will be able to stick to this, but I know deep down in my core, this is very difficult. This takes a very, very, very disciplined type of person to say, no matter how much I'm enjoying this, no matter how great and amazing this is, no matter how in the moment I am, I will not allow myself to lose sight of the bigger, war here. Okay, this is a small battle, but there's a bigger war here. I'm really serious about this, chat, right? And this is one of the easiest traps that I know a lot of you will fall into. Okay, there's really no other trap more bigger than this. Because by the time we start getting into this territory, the guys that are good at this, that know what they're doing, will know how to they'll know how to make the vibe great. They'll know how to make you feel great. You'll have your favorite music playing in the back. You'll actually feel, trust me, I know, you'll actually feel like you're living out your music video fantasy. I know you have a music video fantasy, right? That you play in your mind when you meet new guys. And it's like a specific song that plays and a specific background and it's a specific scene that's set up for you in your mind, right? These guys are so good at getting in touch with your emotions and how you feel, that they actually know how to set this up, that you feel you're actually living that scenario that was in your mind, that you never thought was possible. Point number 4, our 4 to 5 months. At this point, you want him to have asked you to be your girlfriend. That's one of the events that you should be looking for at this point, right? We're well into the relationship now, all right? Especially as we get into this 5th month of you guys consistently. This is also an assumption that you guys throughout this time are consistently dating, consistently seeing each other. You've met his close friends, you've met his family, you've spent a lot of time together. At this point, there should be clear direction in your relationship. The friends and the family should know about this, okay? So assuming around this time, he's gonna actually propose to you being his girlfriend, all right? At this point in time, there should be an understanding, or you should know for yourself, that these friends that you met of his that are close friends and these family members that you met, they also know that you are now his girlfriend. I'm not saying you gotta have, show them the ring that he bought you or anything like that. But what I'm saying is it's very important for everyone to be aware that this is happening. Not just some sort of, because let me let you in on something that will happen, okay? And we can even put this down as one of the traps here. You might end up being what we can describe as a ghost girlfriend. What is a ghost girlfriend, you might ask? A ghost girlfriend is a girlfriend in which you are the only one who knows that you're his girlfriend. And a lot of times guys will do this thing where at this point they know we're getting to a place where you're starting to get antsy about what it's gonna be and how things are gonna take shape. And he's also like, oh, at this point, if we continue messing with each other, it's really not gonna make a lot of sense if she's not my girlfriend. So at this point, what guys will attempt to do is they'll attempt to propose to you, hey, be my girlfriend in secret. And they'll say, yeah, me and you, we're boyfriend and girlfriend, but shh, don't tell anyone about this. That don't make sense. Because the whole purpose of you being his girlfriend is that not only will he claim you when it's you and him, but he'll claim you when he goes out into the world and he meets other people, and specifically, obviously, other women, and that you will do the same. There is an understanding that you are both committed to each other. So this cannot be some sort of scenario in which people don't know about this. What you've all been waiting for, whatever, okay? What's allowed here? Are you happy now that you get to spread your legs wide open and get jackrabbited for 90 seconds? Is that what you've been waiting for? Okay. This is your time where you can sleep with him. Now, I know some of you are looking at this timeline and you're saying, 4 to 5 months, Tomisin. You're telling me it's going to be 4 to 5 months before I can sleep with the guy. I've been sleeping with men on the very first date, and you're talking about a 4 to 5 month timeline before he ever jackrabbits himself inside of me? Absolutely. Do you want success for yourself or not? Do you want to stop wasting bodies or not? Do you want to stop waking up with regret or not? Do you want to stop looking back at your love life and it looking and sounding like a tragedy or not? Think about all the things you have to, his life goals, you have to do so much confirming, you have to do so much cooperating with friends and with family, you have to have so many conversations, you have to have so much understanding, you have to go here, you have to go there, you have to have a fight, you have to have an experience, a disagreement. Like, think of all of the things I just talked to you about as events that should be happening leading up to this point and how important and pivotal they are. And just also think about the fact that obviously for the 4 to 5 months, you're not going to be seeing him every single day. So you have to be factoring that in as well, and especially when we're talking about the timeline that I want you on and how much you're going to be allowed to see him throughout this time. You're not going to be having no 12-hour dates, at least not with me. If you're talking to me and you're asking me about how you go about relationships, you ain't going on no 12-hour dates. You ain't going to be doing sleepovers for a while at least, definitely not in those first 2 months. And you're not going to be seeing him every single day of the week. So on top of the fact that you have so much experience that you need to have with him over the course of time, you're not going to be able to experience this all at once. It'll be impossible because you're not going to be going on 12-hour dates, and you're damn sure not going to be seeing him 7 days of the week. You're going to have your own priorities in your own life as all of this is going on. This is for the people who are over 20, really over 25, but whatever. Over 20 years old, because this is more relevant to you than it really is relevant to other younger people. All right. At this point, Not only are you his girlfriend, but you are supposed to be becoming a part of his life, meaning you're a part of his routine. When he goes, he doesn't just go to work and come back home. He goes to work and he thinks about when he's going to see you, when he's going to spend time with you, right? Whether it be you, I mean, I hope you shouldn't be living with a guy that you've only known for 5 months, right? But still, at this point, this should be an understanding of like, yeah, we talk every day, or we see each other, every week, or we spend time with each other often or on a regular basis. Now he's building a routine around you being in his life all the time, right? You guys might go to the same gym together. You guys might go to the same church together. You guys might do some things, together. Also integrating you into maybe his friend groups. You don't necessarily have to be the one girl that's hanging out with him and all his guy friends, but you should know his friends. You should be comfortable being around him and his friends, and that shouldn't be an issue. You shouldn't be like isolated from his friends. The other thing as well is the same thing with the family. I'm not saying you got to be best friends with his sister or his brother, but you should know them. Like you should be able to recognize them on the street, right? You should be able to like have some sort of rapport with them, or at least have had a couple of conversations. You should also be a familiar part of his family, right? When he brings you up or he talks about you, like they should know who you're talking about. It shouldn't be like some shocker revelation that he's talking about spending time with you or doing something with you or including you in this thing that they're doing right now, all right? That shouldn't be an abnormal thing there for you to be around the family or be involved with some family things, okay? At this point, when you're actually having a lot of full commitment, all right? Now, I hope all of you who are under 20 are gone. This is gonna sound kind of weird. I know that in our previous point, we talked about, obviously you're gonna be able to sleep with him and you're gonna be able to have sex at this point. So for most of you who are younger, you're like, okay, yeah, that's the extent of it. That's the last point. So nothing for me to see her. I hope you're gone anyways. They're gone at least. But for us who are more mature, we understand that part of being in relationships, right? When you have mature people and you put them in a room together, everyone has their own thing, okay? Everyone. I don't care who you are. Everyone has their own thing. And this is a very important thing to explore. But the reason I'm putting this here in aloud is because I want to set a little bit of a caveat for those of you who are more mature to get an understanding of. It's going to sound very weird. I'm going to say it straight up first, then we're going to break it down in detail of what I mean. You don't want to let men slut you out who aren't fully committed to you. Pump the brakes. We're going to rewind, and then we're going to break this down. Remember how I said some of you might say, oh, I'm religious, so I'll never sleep with a man until we're married. That's fine. That's not really for you, right? But for those of you who are like, religion is not stopping you from whether you sleep with a guy before he's your boyfriend or not. So when you get to that 3 to 4 month mark, or that 4 to 5 month mark, you're kind of teeter-tottering on whether to do it or whether to not, and what to do and how to do it. My advice to you is, at that point, I'm not saying don't enjoy yourself. I'm not even saying, don't try and explore with that guy. But when we're talking about the super freaky stuff, those of you who are super freaks know what I'm talking about. I would avoid letting a guy go super freaky with you and really degrade you and slut you out, like the kids would say, until he really is actually committed to you. The reason I'm saying that is because you want to ensure that by the time you get to that point where you guys are going super freaky and he might be doing some super freaky stuff to you, that it's a safe space, right? You guys have an understanding here. You can also get your aftercare, right? But all of that is so important. Part of your aftercare is also knowing that when you're getting slutted out and degraded and all that other stuff, that you will be cared for after because that guy actually cares about you. Not that you, after doing all the super freaky stuff, will feel like, I'm not really sure if this is a safe space. I'm not sure if I just got degraded by a guy who really doesn't care about me. Because afterwards, you're going to feel very weird and very strange if you feel like, damn, did I just allow a guy to degrade me that doesn't actually want to be with me for real? Did I just allow a guy to degrade me that doesn't even really, want to be my boyfriend, or is trying to avoid me, or doesn't seem to care about me the same way after he sleeps with me? The reason I'm saying this is you're going to have to build a routine here and build an understanding here. And you don't, even the first time you sleep with each other, you're not going to go super freaky the very first time. You want to warm up to these things, get an understanding here. And part of your aftercare is also feeling safe that this guy is actually serious and committed to you. That way, when you are getting sledded out, as the kids would say, or degraded or whatever it is that you're into, doing the super freaky stuff, you can feel safe knowing that this is like you're doing it with someone that is you're safe with. Okay. I know for some of you who are on the less super freaky side, you don't get what I'm saying. It's okay. Maybe one day you'll understand what I mean. But some of you who are on the more freaky side, you like to explore things, you know what I'm talking about. Okay. And everyone is a little bit different in what they like and what they enjoy. For some of you who are on the vanilla side, maybe you'll get with the vanilla guy. You'll never even get to the stage and you'll always be like, Tomisin, I have no idea what you're talking about. Me and my guy, we sleep together and nothing happens. It's just a regular thing. But for some of you who like the super freaky stuff, whatever it is you're into, let's give yourself a chance to also feel safe in that place. And let's also give yourself a chance to make sure that some things are in line here before we get to that place in the relationship.